Winging It was framed around Brittany's journey to Oshkosh, right? She's learning all these new and interesting things in the field, and each one of those stops has spawned a scenario. So pilots that are visiting AirVenture and going to the Pilot Proficiency Center can experience a lot of the things that Brittany experienced.
My favorite experience on Winging It was definitely flying upside down with Michael Goulian. The moment we turned upside down, I mean, I couldn't even contain it. I think I just let out the best laugh ever because it was just such a neat feeling.
That's kind of fun, right?
Oh my gosh, so cool!
I think the most interesting was the Aspen Aerospace Alliance. They use airplanes to introduce science, math, technology, STEM education. And so you have kids that come out of that program, they want to be engineers, they want to be scientists, some of them want to be pilots. If they're interested and they pursue it and they're willing to put in the time and effort, they can graduate high school with a commercial multi.
Everything is tied to applied math and science.
We didn't get to load and approach until 20 nautical miles out.
It's such a unique educational opportunity for kids. The cool thing about what we do here is that as you go through the ground school, as you learn to use this E6B, as you learn to do the calculations that our kids are doing right now here, even in this flight challenge, that's really the opportunity for them to apply what they learn in these math and science classes.
Getting in the medevac sim, it's so tight and confined, and then the gurney's there, and you have the sim guy sitting there who's blinking at you, and you can feel the helicopter moving while trying to give him CPR, while trying to talk about vitals. All of that was everything going crazy in my head, and I wasn't really sure what was going on half of the time.
I think my favorite episode was the mountain flying episode. The sort of unique things you got to think about when you're flying in the mountains, things like what do those mountains do to weather, and how does that change the way you need to think about flight planning and your go and no-go decisions in that area. That was very, very interesting to me.
You see how it's hollow in the middle? It's ragged everywhere? Those are the ones you do not. Those are the ones you absolutely avoid like the plague.
Yeah.
In Camarillo, when we did emergency procedures training, I didn't know that Michael Phillips wasn't going to be in the sim with me. Every episode before that, an instructor's with you. So that was just an amazing experience because I really felt like the learning and the actions that I was making and everything that was happening was all me. It was crazy. It was so impactful.
Well, I hope that pilots can see a Winging It episode and get exposed to a different kind of flying or reminded of the reasons that they started flying in the first place. And hopefully it'll put them back in the cockpit, get them excited again about aviation, and maybe open their eyes to the idea that they can use simulators to augment their proficiency, add some variety, add some interest back into their flying.
Redbird has always been a company that has tried to think outside the box, innovate on a lot of different fronts. Winging It was a way for us to sort of think about how are we attracting new pilots, how are we bringing new pilots in, but also how are we retaining pilots, or how are we bringing pilots maybe that have fallen off back into the aviation industry. You know, we could have just put a camera up and just done video about, well, these are the different things you can do with aviation, but it's not going to entertain people, and if we're not entertaining people, then you don't have their attention. If you don't have their attention, you can't educate them.